Namaste, and a very warm good afternoon to all the students, the staff, the faculty, management of DV Education, Shepherd College, Shubhashri Academic International College, SAIC, Triton International Secondary School and College, and all of the viewers for joining us today for our online talk show podcast series, the 11th episode, themed Youth Inspiration and Knowledge. The topic of our today's talk show is making that difference in Nepal, leadership with passion. म हाम्रो आजको valuable guest or speaker यो session को लागि Saurabh Jyoti जुलाई welcome गर्न चाहन्छु. Mr. Saurabh, thank you and please welcome to the show.
Namaste, सबै दर्शकहरुलाई. So thanks for having me on the show, Tarun.
Thank you so much, Mr. Saurabh. Just to give the viewers a little bit of background about Mr. Saurabh. So he's the director of Jyoti Group, the chairman of Syakar Motors, and chairperson of Banking, Finance and Insurance Committee of FNCCI. He's also the past president of NADA Automobiles Association of Nepal. Mr. Saurabh is widely recognized for his business acumen, honesty, and ability to embrace change. Their organization is primarily into manufacturing, trading, and services. Some of the notable manufacturing brands include Himal Iron and Steel, which is Nepal's first steel plant, Himal Wires, Nepal's first wire plant again, and Himal Oxygen. Their automobile division, Syakar Motors, are the sole authorized distributor of Honda motorcycles and scooters, Honda cars, and Honda power products in Nepal market. They also have the largest motorcycle training institute in Asia, developed under Honda Motors Japan training standards. Mr. Saurabh is also personally well known for his enthusiasm of motorbikes, his gadgets, and his love for traveling, and is a huge optimist. Now, I would like to dig into the questions. So my first question to you, Saurabh, is that you completed your undergrad in engineering from Bangalore, India, after which you got back to Nepal and joined your family business as a marketing officer, and gradually got involved heavily into the core businesses of the group. Fast forward to today, and you're one of the most prominent entrepreneurs and even one of the most inspiring figures from the business community of Nepal. Could you tell us in brief your story, Mr. Saurabh?
Thanks, Tarun, for the introduction. So firstly, just to be technically correct, I am still a businessman and an aspiring entrepreneur. I have a lot of projects in the pipeline where I want to start something innovative, but it hasn't taken off in a big way. So I'm an aspiring entrepreneur, but as you said, I am a third generation family business. So I think एउटा प्लेटफर्म चाहिँ मैले कसरी पाएँ भने यो फ्यामिली बिजनेस भएको हुनाले एउटा चाहिँ अपर्च्युनिटी र प्लेटफर्म चाहिँ मैले पाएँ र त्यो भन्दै पनि प्लेटफर्मले केही हदसम्म केही सहज त भयो एउटा टु मेक द फाउन्डेसन वाज देयर तर त्यो भन्दै पनि फाउन्डेसन मात्रै भएर चाहिँ सबै ठाउँमा चाहिँ सफल हुन्छ भनेको छैन यु नीड टु कन्टिन्युअली वर्क यु नीड टु कन्टिन्युअली लर्न रिलर्न reinvent yourself, consolidate businesses, seek new opportunities for expansion depending on what the future holds. नत्र भएकै बिजनेसमा मात्रै हामी अगाडि बढ्यौं भने हामी सफल हुन सक्दैनौं. So I think in the new context, in the new normal, especially after COVID नभनौं, with COVID now we need to learn to live with COVID. So त्यो परिप्रेक्ष्यमा भविष्यमा कसरी आफू पनि परिणत हुने र भविष्यमा कुन कुन सेक्टरमा अपर्च्युनिटी छ त्यो हेर्दै अगाडि बढ्न चाहिँ अत्यन्तै जरुरी छ नत्र भएको बिजनेस पनि अब्सोल्युट हुँदै गएपछि सफलता चाहिँ हुँदैन. अब आफ्नो बारे अलिकति भन्नु पर्दा म चाहिँ इन्डस्ट्रियल इन्जिनियरिङ एन्ड म्यानेजमेन्ट पढेको प्रोफेसनली र त्यो भएको इन्डस्ट्रियल इन्जिनियरिङ भएको हुनाले ज्योति समूहको पनि अहिले हेर्यो भने धेरैलाई चाहिँ अटोमोबाइल होन्डा भन्छ तर हाम्रो जग र मेन हाम्रो सुरु भएको चाहिँ हाम्रो अस्तित्व चाहिँ म्यानुफ्याक्चरिङबाट सुरु भएको हो. जस्तो हिमाल आयरन एन्ड स्टिल अहिले 54 वर्ष भइसक्यो हामीले स्टिल प्लान्ट चलाइरा हामी हिमाल वायर्स वायर्स अनिल वायर्स ग्याबिन वायर हामी बनाउँछौं. हाम्रो हिमाल अक्सिजन भनेर हाम्रो अक्सिजन उद्योग छ र अहिले चाहिँ अक्सिजनको उत्पादन गरेर विभिन्न हस्पिटलहरुमा हामीले सप्लाई गर्छौं. त्यसै गरिकन त्यो चाहिँ हाम्रो म्यानुफ्याक्चरिङ साइड भयो. त्यो सँगसँगै ज्योति समूहको म्यानुफ्याक्चरिङ बाहेक ट्रेडिङमा चाहिँ हामीले अटोमोबाइल्स गर्छौं, हामीले इलेक्ट्रोनिक्स गर्छौं. सो फार्म इक्विपमेन्ट्स, ट्र्याक्टर्स, एग्रिकल्चरल इक्विपमेन्ट्सको हामी आयात पनि गर्छौं र त्यो हाम्रो ट्रेडिङ बाहेक अरु चाहिँ हामीले गर्नु खोज्ने चाहिँ हाम्रो सर्भिस सेक्टरमा चाहिँ अलिकति हामी बैंकिङ, हस्पिटालिटी, हेल्थ सेक्टर र अहिले आएर अलि एजुकेसनमा पनि म पछि कुरा गरौँला. डिजिटल डिजिटलतिर हामीले चाहिँ अलिकति एडुकेसनतिर पनि हाम्रो चाहिँ अलिकति प्रोग्रेस गरेका छौँ नयाँ बिजनेसहरू सो समग्र रूपमा र हाइड्रो पावरमा पनि हामी अलि हाम्रो लगानी छ सो त्यो भएको हुनाले समग्र रूपमा ज्योति समूह भनेको म्यानुफ्याक्चरिङ ट्रेडिङ र सर्भिसेसमा हामी यो विभिन्न क्षेत्रमा चाहिँ हामी हाम्रो चाहिँ इन्भेस्टमेन्ट र बिजनेसेसहरू रहेको छ र त्यो भएको हुनाले मेरो परवरिश पनि यही फ्यामिली बिजनेसमै भएको हुनाले सो इच्छा मैले चाहिँ इन्जिनियरिङै पढेँ र म्यानेजमेन्ट पढेँ र 1999 मा मेरो पढाइ बेङ्गलोरबाट सकिसकेपछि इन्जिनियरिङ सकेपछि म आएर फ्यामिली बिजनेस जोइन गरेँ र बिस्तारै क्रमबद्ध एउटा सानो पोस्टबाट मार्केटिङ अफिसरबाट हिमाल आयरनको पोस्टबाट सुरु गर्दै बिस्तारै अरू बिजनेस पनि मैले चाहिँ started looking after and slow progression was there in terms of from a marketing officer to now a chairman or director of various companies. So in a nutshell, that's my story business wise.
Thank you so much for taking that question, Saurabh. And like, you know, your group is also getting towards the education sector. That point brings me to my next question. You know, the whole COVID scenario in Nepal education sector like rapidly changes like you know, all the education institutions like online education, digital education for adapt. Even the government of the country has taken initiatives to launch online classes for the public schools. No, too many challenges exist this man, no doubt about that at all. You know? But in your context, how important is digital education for the future of education sector in Nepal? Sort of like
you COVID le of course challenges are there. It's very sad. We are having record highs of infected people and people passing away. So that's very sad. But looking at what the new normal and what changes that have been forced upon us due to this novel coronavirus, lot of businesses, including education, conservative business model, physical, contacts inefficient systems, digital platform, contactless service delivery, education online, there's been a fast track change, a paradigm shift, without which पहिला चाहिँ choice थियो म डिजिटलमा जाउँ कि नजाउँ ठीक छ यो वर्ष नजाउँला अर्को वर्षमा हामी सबै डिजिटल प्लेटफर्ममा एजुकेसन अनलाइन पनि लगौँला तर कोभिड को कारण यो तुरुन्तै हामीले त्यो चाहिँ प्याराडाइम शिफ्ट ल्याउनु पर्ने बाध्यता बस बाइ फोर्स वी हैव टु सो यो हुनु साथै एउटा ठूलो अपर्चुनिटी हो नेपालमा खास गरी तपाईले एजुकेसन सेक्टरको कुरा गर्नुभयो अब एजुकेसन सेक्टरको तपाईले कुरा गर्दा इट्स हाई टाइम वी गो डिजिटल एन्ड अनलाइन on education. किनभने नेपालको एजुकेसन सिस्टम हेर्यो भने अहिलेसम्म पनि एकदमै कन्जर्भेटिभ छ र how many of the young people, the students are fortunate enough to have a good quality education when over 90% of the people are studying in government colleges and schools where curriculum dekhi liera the style of teaching, learning by doing, memory based छ obsolete only 10% fortunate people or 10 to 20% study in private colleges where it's a more progressive style learning by doing 10% of the people are getting quality education whereas 90% are left behind र के भन्छ भने हाम्रो जनशक्ति छैन चिकित्सकहरु एउटा राम्रो त्रिभुवन युनिभर्सिटीको या काठमाडौँ युनिभर्सिटीको टप प्रोफेसर can only teach 100 people in his class physically. So, the moment we transform into online and digital, एकजना त्रिभुवन युनिभर्सिटीको सबभन्दा राम्रो प्रोफेसर या काठमाडौँ युनिभर्सिटीको प्रोफेसरले अनलाइन क्लासेस काठमाडौँको मात्रै स्टुडेन्ट्सलाई किन हामी हुम्ला जुम्ला दार्चुला सबै ठाउँमा अनलाइनबाट हामीले किन यो एजुकेसन दिन सक्दैनौं why can't we design a curriculum which is progressive up to date and online technology use गरेर देश व्यापक रूपले सबै स्टुडेन्ट्सहरुले अनलाइन मार्फत एउटा मोबाइल मार्फत एउटा ल्यापटप मार्फत यो क्वालिटी एजुकेसन पाउने चाहिँ ठूलो एउटा सम्भावना छ र यो सम्भावना मात्र हैन यो अहिले नयाँ नेपालको समृद्ध नेपालको हामी जुन सपना साकार गर्छौं त्यो सपना साकार गर्नलाई आवश्यकता पनि हो किनभने एजुकेसन भने एउटा बेस हो त्यो फाउन्डेसन स्ट्रङ भएन जग बलियो भएन भने हाम्रो भविष्य पनि हाम्रो चाहिँ इज गोइङ टु बी भेरी शेकी सो व्हेन वी हैव क्वालिटी एजुकेसन quality students with the expertise and the skills that they've learned, nation building, so I think this is a very important point that you've touched on. So I would like to say we have to transition from conservative to a more progressive style. Physically, college जाने भन्दा पनि अब या स्कुल गएर सिक्ने क्लासरुमबाट भन्दा पनि अनलाइन मार्फत जानु सक्यौं भने यसमा चाहिँ ठूलो एउटा चाहिँ we can reap the benefits and have a larger qualified educated mass of young students who will drive the nation forward in the coming decade.
Marvelous. Thank you for taking that question and thank you also for believing in this power of digital education because it's one of the most important beliefs of mine going forward. At least this can bring about a massive change and transformation. So thank you so much for taking that question, Saurabh. Now my next question to you is that like Jyoti Group them heavily present across manufacturing, trading and various other services as well, and तपाईं चाहिँ as a top management of such a large scale group धेरै कुरालाई तपाईले synergize or leverage पनि गर्नुहुन्छ आफ्नो common strengths resources-हरुलाई हैन. So my question to you is how do you leverage and synergize the common strengths and resources across your organization, Mr. Saurabh?
When you have a large conglomerate of companies, एउटा चाहिँ के हुन्छ भने मैले सुरुमा पनि मैले point एउटा राखेको थिएँ भने in 10 years from now, where do you want to be? What does the future look like? So, what we have started 50 years back, a lot of companies have closed down. We have consolidated businesses. For example, we had a garment factory. We had a carpet factory. We had ceramic factories. So most of these companies have been closed down because future these were loss-making companies, and in the future we couldn't sustainably scale up or be profitable. So rather than losing money, it's like a ship with a hole. Water, it's a sinking boat. So it's better to leave that boat and build a new boat. So त्यो हिसाबले consolidate गरेर जहाँ चाहिँ future छैन त्यो business consolidate गर्ने र what are the opportunities, what are the sectors भविष्यमा चाहिँ जहाँ सम्भावना छ त्योतिर चाहिँ नयाँ innovative concepts, ideas लाई ल्याएर चाहिँ नयाँ companies-हरु start up गर्ने so that we can cater to the demand, the services that is required by the consumers at large in the coming future. अहिले तत्कालै त्यो grow नहोला, but the scalability, of those businesses growing can be 10x in the future. So you have to be patient, invest a little time, energy, do your homework and market research as to the trends. The global trends र नेपालको ट्रेन्डमा कहिलेकाहीँ उल्टै हुन्छ. So नेपालको economy, the market is very unique. For example, even with COVID, the economic remittance को कुरा गरौँ, we had all projected that the remittance is going to drop, which is one of the largest contributors to the economy. But if you see last month figures, the remittance has gone up compared to last year. अब किन gone up भनेपछि एउटा त अब नेपालमा हेल्थ इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चरको अलिकति सबैलाई डरै लाग्यो. नेपालमै फर्केपछि झन् यहाँ चाहिँ ट्रिटमेन्ट नहुने हो कि भनेर बाहिरको हाम्रो जानुभएका युवा दाजुभाइ दिदीबहिनी बाहिरै बस्न चाहिँ they felt it was safer because the health infrastructure is not very good here, which is understandable, because I think no one is prepared to deal with such a large scale pandemic. So they stayed there. Not many people came back because we were expecting hundreds of thousands of people to come back. And here रोजगारीको सृजना गर्न हामीलाई समस्या होला. So त्यही बसे. दोस्रो कुरा remittance चाहिँ पहिला विभिन्न. We have to remember that 62% of our market in every sector is informal. So remittance पनि unofficial channel बाट चाहिँ remittance आउँथ्यो. तर अब कोभिडको कारणले यो अनअफिसियल सबै सञ्चालन हुन नसकेको हुनाले फर्मल च्यानलबाट सबै रेमिटेन्स नेपालमा आउन साथै देयर हेज बीन अ ग्रोथ which is good for the economy and which is always what we should strive for, transparency and to grow the formal sector, because the formal sector actually contributes to the economy, creates jobs, pays taxes, the government runs. So त्यो भइसकेपछि sustainable growth हुन्छ. So coming back to the point, I think यो अपर्च्युनिटीको रूपमा हेर्नुपर्छ. फेरि डिजिटाइजेसनकै कुरामा म फर्किँदा तपाईले भन्नुभएको जस्तो डिजिटाइजेसनकै कुरामा भन्दा we have now consolidated lot of traditional businesses and new age businesses, whether it's online e-learning platforms we've started digital marketing, we've started a logistics company, online logistics company, which is the need of the hour. अब कोभिडमा बिस्तारै COVID, post-COVID scenario is a long time away. Vaccine hasn't come yet, or not a proven vaccine, which actually benefits the infected people. So how do we live with COVID? So when we need to start living with COVID, we need to focus on what are the new service delivery platforms. Like I said, online deliveries, contactless, even gadi motorcycle virtual showrooms. Manufacturing मा पनि अहिले आएर चाहिँ कसरी सेफ इन्भाइरोमेन्टमा हामीले अगाडि बढ्ने, म्यानुफ्याक्चरिङ पनि कसरी परिणत गर्ने. ओके, नाउ व्हाट इज द नीड? वी नीड टु बी सेल्फ सफिसिएन्ट नेपालमा, हैन? आत्मनिर्भरता हुनलाई हाम्रो के हुनु पर्यो? खाद्यमा आत्मनिर्भर हुनु पर्यो भने एग्री सेक्टरमा हामीले इन्भेस्ट गर्नु पर्यो. मेडिकल सप्लाइज र इक्विपमेन्ट्समा भेन्टिलेटरको हाम्रो चाहिँ अभाव छ भने व्हाई कान्ट वी मेक अ भेन्टिलेटर हियर? अ गार्मेन्ट फ्याक्ट्री मेकिङ टी-शर्ट्स क्यान स्टार्ट मेकिङ मास्क्स, क्यान स्टार्ट मेकिङ PPE suits. Because bhavishya such items will be in demand, so that we are self-sufficient, we can protect the health, and we can feed the people of our nation without relying on other people, without relying on imports. So त्यतिर पनि ध्यान गर्दा चाहिँ you will see a lot of opportunities. So based on these opportunities, we need to restructure the businesses. That is what Jyoti Group is doing. Slowly from manufacturing, we've gotten into service sector, health, hospitality, energy, and even, as I said, IT, digital media platforms, service deliveries, and even into farming and agriculture. So that is what I see in the future. And maintaining my stance that we need to be self-reliant, आत्मनिर्भर भइकन हामीले कसरी अगाडि बढ्ने र यो उद्योगहरुले रोजगारी सृजना कसरी गर्ने र आत्मनिर्भरतामा कसरी कन्ट्रिब्युट भइकन हामीले चाहिँ हाम्रो भविष्य आउँदो एक दशकमा अरु पेन्डेमिक होस्, अरु केही क्राइसिस आए तापनि we are self-reliant and we can stand on our own feet.
Well, thank you, Saurabh, and thank you for even putting the stress on the word self-reliability. And I think this couldn't be even truer. And like you also said, like जुन तरिकाले informal economy मा every sector has presence in the informal economy. So त्यहाँ पनि तपाईले touch up गर्नुभयो, and also what you said about we need to keep transforming. So how you've transformed from the manufacturing into energy, services, information technology, and also what you said, like you're adapting more and more towards digital aspects. सायद तपाईको एउटा marketing process नै किन नहोस्, हैन? So thank you for giving a very broad and diverse answer to that question, sort of. Now, my next question to you is that जुन तरिकाले नेपाल, as we all know, कि नेपालको अब केही वर्षपछि electricity चाहिँ पुरै excessमै production हुन्छ, हैन? And not only that, we'll also be in a position to export electricity to foreign nations, which will help to reduce the balance of payment for our country. Petrol imports चाहिँ हाम्रो लागि one of the largest outgoing payment हो, which Nepal has to incur, and that so now recently our government has even spiked the duty for electric vehicles. Do you think electric vehicles could play a big role to balance the budget deficit as well as contribute to a cleaner environment for Nepal? Sorry.
There are two questions on this. One is ऊर्जा क्षेत्रमा हाम्रो चाहिँ कसरी आत्मनिर्भरता बढाउने, र how can we make it into an export energy as an export commodity, and secondly electrification, हैन? तर जुनसुकै क्षेत्र भन्दा पनि हाम्रो कोर कम्पिटेन्स नेपालमा यो दुईटा क्षेत्र मात्रै हैन. हामी लगानी गर्दा या to be exceptional, to be able to cater to the region, what can we take from Nepal to the world, भनेर core competence र हाम्रो expertise र एउटा niche segment which no one else can provide, which we can provide better, cheaper, भनेपछि त्यो सेक्टरमा हामीले बढी फोकस दिनुपर्छ. Energy is such sector because due to the natural resources we have been blessed with lot of water. So ऊर्जा भने जलविद्युतले गरेर हाइड्रो पावरले गरेर luckily we have the capacity to develop hydropower plants, not just big hydropower plants, it can be micro hydropower plants also. So with the development of using hydropower, we have the capacity to be able to export. तर जुनसुकै क्षेत्रमा भन्दा एउटा इनेबलिङ एन्भाइरनमेन्ट हुनु पर्यो. अब हाइड्रोमा पनि अहिले प्रब्लम के छ भने इट्स भेरी क्यापिटल इन्टेन्सिभ. It's so capital intensive that unless we have a good rate of PPE, there is a demand in the market and plus demand to export. India, there is a huge demand. So there is a sambhavana. त्यहाँ सम्भावना चाहिँ छ. तर इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चरमा हाम्रो फोकस हुनुपर्छ. इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चरमा किन म फोकस भन्छु भनेपछि बिजुली मात्रै आएर भएन. If we don't have the transmission lines, if we don't have the transmissions to deliver that electricity to the consumers, to the houses, to the factories, it will all go to waste. So infrastructure ko planning चाहिँ हरेक इन्डस्ट्री सँगसँगै यो ऊर्जा hydropower सँगसँगै जानुपर्छ. So we are working on that. As you correctly said, this is the right sector. In the future, we will be exporting, but provided it is managed well. तर म ऊर्जा भनेर जल विद्युत मात्रै, I will not just talk about hydropower. We also need to explore solar and wind energy. Alternative sources of clean energy also provides a lot of future, a lot of potential. So samagra रूपमा energy can be water, wind, water, wind or solar. So त्योतिर पनि हामीले चाहिँ we need to focus our efforts and energy and not just be reliant only on hydro. Of course, hydro is already taken. It will take its course and we will be exporting. That will affect export भइसकेपछि हाम्रो BOP को कुरा गरौँ, हाम्रो चाहिँ trade deficit, it will fill. अब infrastructure कोही कुरा गर्दा फेरि तपाईले I will again stress on आत्मनिर्भरताको कुरा र infrastructure development को कुरा, even with electrification of vehicles. When we talk about vehicles, we are not just talking about electric vehicles, we are talking about alternate energy, renewable clean energy vehicles. नेपालमा electrification को, electric vehicles को एक प्रकारले चाहिँ whim चलेको भन्छु म. Because it was not a priority by the government, I feel. Because if it was a priority, it would have been a stable policy for the next 10 years, where the government would have not changed the policies for the next 10 years, which they didn't. Because this year budget itself, electric vehicles priority bhanda pani passenger segment ma the duty has gone higher by over 10%. And plus whim kina bhanchu ra euta चाहिँ sustainable policy for development, actual practical implementation नभएको कारण के हो भने infrastructure को कमी थियो. ल यो वर्ष बजेटमा चाहिँ 10 गुना बढ्यो, अब महँगो भयो किन्दैन, ठीक छ. तर यो त प्यासेन्जर सेगमेन्ट इलेक्ट्रिक भेहिकल्स को मात्रै कुरा भयो. कमर्शियल मा त पहिला पनि यो बजेट अगाडि पनि 1% मात्रै ड्युटी थियो, अहिले पनि यो बजेटमा 1% मात्रै ड्युटी छ. So why don't we see a lot of commercial big buses, electric vehicles plying on the roads? किनभने 1% ड्युटी भएर सस्तो भएर के गर्ने त? त्यो गुड्नलाई इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर छैन यहाँ. Big buses run on mass transportation. They run on long routes. पोखरा पुग्नु पर्यो, बिरगंज पुग्नु पर्यो, विराटनगर पुग्नु पर्यो, भैरवा पुग्नु पर्यो. त त्यहाँ पुग्नलाई इलेक्ट्रिक भेहिकल्समा तेल चाहियो. इलेक्ट्रिक भेहिकल्स को तेल भने के हो? बिजुली. बिजुली कसरी दिने? चार्जिङ स्टेशन मार्फत. अब देश व्यापक रूपमा चार्जिङ स्टेशन्स को इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चरै नभइकन तपाईले फ्रीमा पनि इलेक्ट्रिक भेहिकल्स दिनु भयो भने कसैले लिदैन, किनभने यु कान्ट रन इट, यु कान्ट चार्ज इट. सो जुनसुकै क्षेत्रमा पनि एउटा नीतिगत रूपमा एउटा बोलीले मात्रै हैन, नीतिमा राम्रो होला तर कार्यान्वयन पक्षमा इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर त्यसकोलाई सपोर्ट गर्छ कि गर्दैन, इनेबलिङ एन्भाइरनमेन्ट छ कि छैन. सो त्यो भएन भने ऊर्जाको पोलिसी पनि त्यही हो, इलेक्ट्रिफिकेसनको पोलिसी पनि त्यही हो. जुनसुकै नीति ल्याए तापनि it has to be backed by a proper infrastructure and an enabling environment for it to grow, for it to be sustainable, for it to provide practical and value to the customers, make their lives easier to be able to operate those products and services. It will always be a failure. So I think infrastructure is the key word, and I think energy and electrification is the way forward. Our policies need to support, and the government needs to invest in the infrastructure for these delivery systems. Over to you, Tarun.
Thank you for giving such a pragmatic answer to that question. Very practically answered. Thank you so much for that. And since you mentioned these words, like you said very well right now, the stresses in these words, infrastructure, self-reliance, and even you used the word capital intensive earlier, sustainability was mentioned. So all these words brings me to my next question. The next question, which is that, Syakar Trading Company is the authorized distributor for Honda motorcycles, four-wheelers, and Honda power products, And Jyoti Group, let's say Honda motorbikes, Nepal, 52 years back introduced Goy. Now, and the motorbikes demand has been growing rapidly on an annual basis in Nepal, right? So along these lines, what's the possibility of establishing an assembly plant for motorbikes in Nepal, Mr. Saurabh?
So I think motorcycle assembly is a very interesting topic which we've been working on for many years now. Just to give you a brief history, for any industry to grow in Nepal, the government has to promote that industry. The government has to provide incentives to that industry. And once the incentives are in place, there is a priority on those industries will thrive. Industry thrive, basically, they create jobs. They contribute to the economy, contribute to the taxes. But when you establish an industry, लगानी धेरै हुन्छ. त्यो लगानीको सुनिश्चितता कसरी गर्ने? किनभने एउटा उद्योग स्थापना गर्नु भने नेपाल सरकारको स्थायी लङ टर्म नीति नभइकन उद्योग स्थापना हुँदैन. किनभने एकदमै लगानी गर्नलाई जग्गा किन्नु पर्यो, फ्याक्ट्री बनाउनु पर्यो, रोजगारी सयौं जनाको रोजगारी सृजना हुन्छ र भोलि गएर त्यो पोलिसी र इन्सेन्टिभ्स हटायो, यो पोलिसी चेन्ज भयो गभर्नमेन्टसँग भन्यो भने that industry will close down, will get into bankruptcy, there will be job losses. So similar is the condition with assembly industry. गभर्नमेन्टले असेम्बली इन्डस्ट्री चाहिँ हामीले प्राथमिकता दिने भनेर एउटा चाहिँ नीति चाहिँ निकाल्यो केही वर्ष अगाडि. त्यसमा चाहिँ ठोस गरिकन अन्तशुल्कमा 50% छुट दिने भन्यो र त्यो नीतिगत निर्णय अनुसार एउटा उद्योग स्थापना पनि भयो. तर त्यो उद्योग स्थापना भइसकेपछि जुन नीतिगत कुरा कागजमा थियो 50% अन्तशुल्क दिने त्यो असेम्बली इन्डस्ट्रीलाई पाउनै सकेन, 2 वर्षसम्म पाउन सकेन. किनभने त्यो नीतिबाट कार्यान्वयनमा आउँदा भन्सारमा आउँदा त्यो प्रक्रिया नमिलिकन त्यो 50% छुट पाएन. सो त्यो उद्योग 2 वर्षसम्म त्यतिकै बस्यो, लगानी खेर गयो, त्यत्रो लगानी गरेको रोजगारी सबै दिनेमा त्यहाँ फ्याक्ट्री सञ्चालन गर्न सकेन. सो ठुलो नोक्सान भयो. त्यो नीति आएको 2 वर्षपछि छलफल हुँदा हुँदा गभर्नमेन्टसँग भन्यो ल यो 50% छुट दिन सकिन, अब 25% छुटमा सञ्चालन गर्ने भनेर त्यसलाई अन्तशुल्क 50 बाट 25 लगाएपछि त्यो उद्योग स्थापना भयो. सो त्यो स्थापना भइसकेपछि सञ्चालनमा आयो. अब आएर कुरा के छ भने नीतिगत स्थायित्वमा अब आएर 25% छुट भनेको अन्तशुल्कमा मार्केटमा आएर त्यसको एमआरपी मा कति कस्ट सेभिङ हुन्छ भन्दा लगभग 5% मात्रै हुन आउँछ. अब 5% प्राइस डिफरेन्समा उद्योगीहरूले इम्पोर्ट गर्ने या असेम्बली गर्नेको चोइस छ. अब if I were the government, what I would do to encourage assembly industry is that मैले चाहिँ रिस्क कम गर्दिन्थे, रिवार्ड या इन्सेन्टिभ हाई गर्दिन्थे. So instead of 5% MRP difference or 25% अन्तशुल्क 50% मैले अन्तशुल्क छुट दियो भने मेरो 5 बाट 10% MRP मा प्राइस भयो भने सबै आयातकर्ताहरू डिस्ट्रिब्युटरहरू रिवार्ड देखेर रिस्क कम हुन जान्छ, रिवार्ड बढी हुन्छ. We would jump into the bandwagon. हामीले जग्गा किन्थ्यौं, उद्योग स्थापना गर्थ्यौं, असेम्बली यहाँ सुरु गर्थ्यौं. तर अहिलेसम्म पनि नीतिगत कुराले एकदमै रिवार्ड चाहिँ कम, रिस्क बढी भएको हुनाले lot of people are not getting into assembly industry. Such is the scenario, not just with automobiles, generally across all industries. That's why industrialization, the GDP contribution of industries to the GDP is decreasing. तर त्यो भन्दा पनि व्यक्तिगत मेरो धारणा के छ भने हो असेम्बली यही हुनुपर्छ र स्याकार र हन्डाकै कुरा गर्दा हाम्रो अध्ययन फिजिबिलिटी स्टडी हाम्रो सबै पाइपलाइनमा छ and in the near future we do have plans to start assembly भइसकेपछि नेपालमै बन्छन् हन्डा तर अलिकता यसको प्रक्रिया चाहिँ अलिकता एकदमै Honda being a global company, the quality standards have to be maintained as per the global standards. Our factory has to be a world-class factory. So त्यो भएको नै धेरै अध्ययन लगानी चाहिँ चाहिन्छ त्यसैले त्यो अध्ययनकै क्रममा हामी छौं तर हामी अगाडि बढ्छौं किनभने हामीलाई विश्वास छ कि नेपाल सरकारले पनि आउँदो भविष्यमा यसलाई प्राथमिकता दिइकन किनभने असेम्बली इन्डस्ट्री गरेपछि रोजगारी सृजना हुन्छ ट्याक्स बच्छ र त्यति मात्रै हैन OEMs हरुको एस्टाब्लिश हुन्छ ब्याकवर्ड लिंकेजेस यहाँ बिस्तारै असेम्बली गर्न सुरु सकिसकेपछि पेन्टिङ पनि यही सुरु गर्छौं बिस्तारै प्लास्टिक मोल्डिङ पार्ट्स केबल्स सबै यही हामी बनाउन चाहिँ सम्भावना हुन्छ सो बिस्तारै त्यो सप्लाई चेन सिस्टम बिल्ड हुँदै हुँदै आएपछि अहिले पार्ट्स मात्रै ल्याएर लोकलाइजेसन गरेर असेम्बली गर्ने मात्रै हैन लोकलाइजेसनको कम्पोनेन्ट चाहिँ बिस्तारै बढाउँदै बढाउँदै लग्यो भने पछि आएर 50% of parts if we can localize in Nepal. Imagine the number of industries we have. You know, we have dyes, we have stamping industries, plastic molding parts, paint industries to support the automobile industries. Localization boards. हाम्रो पैसा बाहिर जाने कम हुन्छ र हामी चाहिँ फेरि गएर चाहिँ भ्यालु एडिसन यही नेपालमा हुन्छ र त्यो भ्यालु एडिसनमा भएको कस्ट बेनिफिट्स we can pass on to the consumers. So I think with this, with the government support, I think, and prioritization for industries and even assembly, to coming to your question, in the near future, there will be an increased number of brands that start assembly industries, including Syakar in Nepal.
Fantastic, thank you. And so well said, Jun point touch up by risk and reward ko kura ma say, reward context why if a government is actually promoting, giving plenty of reward mechanisms, then for sure, a lot of private organizations will be more enticed to swap to manufacturing or assembly, not only for motorbikes, in fact, for many other sectors. And Jun tarikale tabale bhannu bhayo parts र supply chain pani integration ekdam zaruri cha before the assembly plant can come into place. Thank you for taking that question, and I really hope to see the first motorbike assembly plant, large scale sense from Honda, from Syakar. So we wish you all the best for that. Thank you. Now I'd like to go to the next question. Now sort of that the way you've touched upon this whole opportunities wise and the whole ambience of the environment of for an assembly to come in. अब मलाई चाहिँ एउटा individual sense मा यसको same environment कुरा गर्नु थियो, which is regarding this entrepreneurship environment in Nepal. So I believe that Nepal has countless opportunities for entrepreneurs. However, there are multiple challenges too. One major challenge, for example, is the access of funding from banks and financial institutions based on project itself. Could you highlight to us your views on the opportunities and challenges of entrepreneurship environment in Nepal, Mr. Saurabh?
So the entrepreneurship environment in Nepal, I've been involved with startups, micro venture capitals since 2000. So it's already been 20 years that I've been involved in this. I'll just tell you the context of how it started, the startups entrepreneurship culture in 2000 and now 2020. When I started in 2000, we set up a fund called Nepal Youth Business Foundation, which used to provide seed capital loans to young entrepreneurs, around 1.5 at that time, to up to 5 lakhs in 2002, but without collateral. Because what generally happens at that time, that point in time, or even to be able to get money from a bank to start up your businesses, you need to prove to the bank that you don't need money. So if you can prove to the bank that you don't need money, you'll get money. But if you actually need money, it's very difficult to get your funding from a bank or a loan from a bank. I have a family backing, I have a nice plot of land, I have some collateral, then you can get a loan. But I have, based on your paper and capability, you have a very big proposal, a big idea. But based on your feasibility and your project paper, the bank will not give you a loan if you don't have a collateral. So we wanted to make a paradigm shift there where from paper-based to project-based, where you can get funding. So this whole idea came about for Nepal Youth Business Foundation so that people can get loans for startups based on their ideas, based on the papers, the feasibility of their business. So we did help around 100 people at 100 to 300 people at that time. तर त्यो बेला चाहिँ एकदमै ठुलो एउटा ब्यारियर के थियो भने the whole wall was finance, access to finance. Now fast forward from 2000 to 2020, where we have 30, 40 micro venture capital startups with business angels, business companies willing to invest in ideas. Now that barrier has been broken, even to a certain extent, with the government support, with the youth ministry, with the policy, the Pradhan Mantri Employment Fund. You can get funds even from the government as well as from the private sector and banks. So access to capital is no more the biggest barrier. The money is there if you have a feasible idea. People will invest in your idea. So the money is not the problem. That's one. But the problem still remains from 2000 देखि मैले 2020 अहिलेसम्म problem still remains is money ko हैन, money ko problem has been solved. Now through micro venture capitals, through banks, through startups, you can get funding for your project. But up and now the barrier has transitioned from that into a mentorship. Mentorship concept is still very important, which is widely ignored. तर mentorship ko the contribution to the success of the business is tremendous. If you have a mentor guiding you, your chances of success in your business, learning from the mentor from the same sector goes up at least by 2 to 3 times. Because the mentor is so experienced, he will guide you through his experience. What are the roadblocks? What are the challenges that you need to overcome? So basically, you don't need to start from 0 to reach 10. You can start from 5. Your journey will be faster, quicker, because you will learn from the mistakes that the mentor that he had already made. So you don't need to make those mistakes again. So access to finance has been resolved, but mentorship concept is still very widely not accepted. So I request all young entrepreneurs, access to finance readily available. That's no more excuse. तर जुन mentorship को concept मा चाहिँ तपाईले विशेष ध्यान दिइकन एकजना त्यो सेक्टरको विज्ञ मेन्टर तपाईको रूपमा लिएर उहाँसँग सल्लाह गरेर बिजनेस प्लान, बिजनेस ग्रोथ, what are the challenges you will face, त्यो प्लान बनाएर उहाँको गाइडेन्स दिन सक्नु भयो भने तपाईको the journey to success, your chances of probability of success will go up by 2-3 fold. So please use that concept of mentorship to grow your businesses. I think that's very important concept.
Thank you. I would like to just reiterate what you just said about access to funding, because we had 2 of our valuable guests before, Mr. Rahul Chaudhary, even Mr. Hemraj Dhakal. Even today, you are echoing the same words, saying that access to funding is not a problem. Ministry supports, individual level, VC funds. So we do have access to various of such funding options. And secondly, major point, mentorship. So I think this is very important over here because that, like you rightfully said, so the start will be from 5, not from 0. So that learning curve, definitely bounces through the use of mentorship. So thank you so much for taking that question, Mr. Saurabh. Now my next question to you is that, Federation of Nepalese Chamber of Commerce and Industry, FNCCI, executive member for the past 12 years. And recently, Vice President Kulagi contest garnu. So, I came across the fact that amendment of labor laws of Nepal has been one of your core agendas. Could you tell the viewers more on this labor law amendment that you're pursuing so passionately, Mr. Saurabh?
Nepal ma hamile चाहिँ industrialization hunu पर्यो, self-reliance hunu पर्यो. FDI, you need to attract FDI into the country. So we talk about all these things. But for these things to actually become viable, for Nepal to become a top destination for investment, attraction of investment into Nepal, for it to become attractive for foreign investors to come and invest in Nepal, the main policy that hinders such investments is the labor law. But from in it guides the policy for all the industries and for investment. It is more of a political, used as a political tool. Rajniti गर्ने एउटा चाहिँ एम जस्तो छ त्यो किनभने the labor force जहाँसुकै भने पनि trade union भने पनि that is used as a front for politics to come into business. अनि मलाई लाग्छ के हो भने politics र business should be separate. They are mutually exclusive. हो कहीं merge हुन्छ तपाईको तर that has to be minimized. किनभने जहाँ politics आउँछ productivity, efficiency goes down. अब श्रम ऐन कोही कुरा गर्दा अहिलेसम्म हाम्रो श्रम ऐन हेर्यो भने जहिले पनि के कुरा हुन्छ भने protection of the employees. भत्काहरु कति हुनु पर्यो न्यूनतम वेतन कति हुनु पर्यो hire and fire गर्नु हुँदैन हैन once they employed what is the social security. Agree, we have to protect the interest of the employees. कामदार कर्मचारी सुनिश्चित हुनु पर्छ उहाँको भविष्यको लागि हामीले दिनलाई सबै हामी गर्न सक्छौं हैन मिनिमम वेजेस सोशल सिक्युरिटी सामाजिक सुरक्षा कोष भत्ताहरु सबै हामी दिन तयार छौं तर there has to be a balance. Where is the protection for the employers? उद्योगीहरुको एम्प्लॉयरहरुको प्रोटेक्सन कहाँ छ त उद्योगै बन्द भयो भने तपाईको सुविधाहरु कहाँबाट आउँछ तपाईको तलब कहाँबाट आउँछ. So the policy has to be balanced where protection of not just the employees but employees and employers are balanced. So त्यो balance र एउटा win-win situation हामीले चाहिँ एउटा safe landing गर्न चाहिँ जहिले पनि हामी collective bargaining मार्फत विभिन्न ट्रेड युनियनहरुसँग सरसल्लाह गरिकन नेपाल it's always a tripartite. This labor उद्योग वाणिज्य महासंघबाट जुन चाहिँ रोजगारदाता परिषद छ it's a tripartite committee where private sector, trade unions र नेपाल सरकार बसेर चाहिँ एउटा चाहिँ balanced, progressive, secured environment ल्याउने पोलिसी हामी चाहिँ रोजगारदाता परिषदले एउटा चाहिँ प्रयास जहिले पनि निरन्तर रूपले हामी अगाडि बढ्न खोजिरहेका छौं. त्यसैले त्यो हिसाबले पोलिटिक्स मिनिमम गर्ने and ensure the security safety of employers as well as employees. हैन अब कोभिड कोही कुरा गर्दा पनि हामीले चाहिँ अस्ति भर्खरै उद्योग वाणिज्य महासंघ र ट्रेड युनियन र नेपाल सरकार भएर हामीले चाहिँ we came to a very good agreement where during the period of the lockdown सबैले मानिकन किन उद्योगै बन्द भएको तलबै तिर्न नसक्ने अवस्थामा चाहिँ 50% मा गर्ने भनेर मान्यो हैन हायर एन्ड फायर को कुरा पनि काम नगरेपछि हामीले हायर एन्ड फायर मा जाँदा चाहिँ हैन नो वर्क नो पे को कुराहरु छ हडतालहरुको कुरा छ. So those things are still in discussion. तर we will reach a consensus on this with the objective that if we want to increase investment there has to be a win-win situation for all stakeholders involved. हैन all stakeholders involved भयो भने चाहिँ we will reach a win-win situation and an agreement where industries grow भयो भने more people will be employed. There will be job security, wealth generation for the masses. So that balance is the major challenge where we need to work out, sit with the concerned parties, Shram Vibhag, हाम्रो ट्रेड युनियन का साथीहरु र मिलाएर चाहिँ र एम्प्लॉयर्स बसेर चाहिँ त्यो environment create गर्ने where they are willing to work productively, efficiently, minimizing politics in the workplace, and we are willing to provide them with the facilities they ask for, because the moment politics is minimized, productivity and efficiency is there, production will go up, profits will go up. So it's a win-win situation for the entire community and society. So that balance, we always strive to actually work towards having a very good strum end. But your policy, I think we will also attract a lot of FDI, where it becomes easier for foreign companies to manage the labor force.
Thank you. So well said that, a proper balance between employer protection as well. Employer protection and employee protection, the perfect balance between that will definitely increase in the investment and create a favorable growth environment for businesses as well as for an FDI climate, for an direct investment company. Thank you so much for taking that question. Now, my next question to you is a little, it's a little diverse regarding your passion and what you're doing right now with motorbikes. You have been contributing heavily towards a riding culture in Nepal. You also have some of the most fanciest motorbike collections. And I came across through your social media that about this top class motorbike gallery that you've set up and is about to open to the public. Could you tell us, all about a little bit about Nepal's riding culture, your motorbike collections and the gallery, please?
So I think, firstly, I think it's a passion and it's my business. So I'm fortunate to have a passion or business on my own. So motorcycling culture, Nepal, people are really, genuinely Nepalese people love machines, love motorcycles. Nepal weather not extreme weather is there. We have beautiful natural terrain where we can go explore Nepal. Tourism become a tourist in your own country before you become a tourist outside. Contribute to the national economy, domestic economy. Nepal body we want to go to, I don't know, America, we want to go to Europe, we want to go to Malaysia, we want to go to Australia. So Nepal domestic tourism promote national economy contribute because there's so many beautiful places. And coming to riding, I think you can ride to most of these places where even cars can't go, because I've ridden down not just to Pokhara and the major cities. I've gone up to Jomsom, Muktinath. I've gone up even to Manang on a motorcycle. So it's a beautiful places. So, and the weather supports it. So I think this is a culture, and Nepal, the most affordable source of mobility is a motorcycle. So, your affordability ko karanle pani people love motorcycles. So we want to keep that culture and that love for machines alive. So two concept we developed. I do collect motorcycles, and what people say, oh, throw motorcycles, but they don't realize that I have been collecting motorcycles for the last 25 years. It's not that all of a sudden I have so many motorcycles. From my school and college days, I have been buying motorcycles, restoring them, collecting in them, investing. So it is a collection of over 25 years. It's not that when people see, overnight success, it generally takes around 10 years. So in my case, it's around 25 years. And it took a little bit longer.
How many?
So, the whole so it's a lot of people ask me how many bikes, but I've lost count. But lagbag mero umer jati cha tyo bhanda ali badi hola. But that's for you to guess.
I'm going to take a little bit of research.
The riding culture is that, to maintain this love for machines and also to understand history of how motorcycles have contributed to the economy of Nepal. What were the first motorcycles? History. इतिहास चाहिँ हेर्यो भने कुन मोटरसाइकल नेपालमा पहिला आएको थियो, कसरी motorcycles have evolved. So it's a fun place where you talk about bikes, you talk about culture, you talk about the contribution of automobiles to the history of our nation, to the economy of our nation. So all motorcycle lovers come, see these machines, understand the history, see the old vintage bikes to the latest machines, the latest technology in motorcycles. So this is a place where you come, celebrate, enjoy. So two concept, let's say, I have, because a lot of people want to come and see my motorcycles. Now I can't invite everyone to my house to see the motorcycles. So we thought, let's have a platform, let's have a SJ Motor Gallery with that concept where it's free for public to come and see all these machines, enjoy, talk about them. So two concept, let's say, SJ Motor Gallery to concept ICO. So I think soon after public places are allowed to be opened by the government, the gallery will be open for all motorcycle, automobile enthusiasts to come and see the gallery and enjoy and see the machines and talk about them.
Great. Thank you. I've seen it in one of the pictures. So as soon as it's open to the public, gatherings and stuff, I'm definitely going to drop by for a visit. And so yes, thank you. For now I'd like to go to the next question, Mr. Saurabh. So as the name suggests, Corporate social responsibility, or CSR, is the moral responsibility of corporate organizations, and each organization does the CSR in their own unique aspects. What, according to you, would be those areas which are most effective for real-time CSR impact in Nepal? Sorry.
I think my belief or my family's belief in CSR is the first and biggest CSR that a private organization or a business organization can do is maintain ethics, maintain transparency, and pay your due taxes to the government. Because a lot of businesses, we talk about big CSR, we want to do charity, this, that, and the way you run your businesses is not ethical, not transparent, and you are not paying your taxes. So I think paying your taxes, being a good citizen, responsible taxpayer is one of the biggest CSR that you can do, starting off with, number one. After you are doing that and you are contributing as a responsible citizen, paying your taxes, maintaining a transparent business, and your businesses are running, then you come into the second component of CSR, which is what does your company, what do you as a leader believe in? So CSR can be different for different people. But from my perspective, Jyoti समूहको एउटा जहिले पनि के एउटा चाहिँ हाम्रो सिद्धान्त छ भने आफ्नो निजी व्यवसायको मात्रै विकास गरेर हुँदैन. We need to take care of our employees, कर्मचारी, कामदार, then our customers. So that is, first you take care of your employees, you take care of your customers, that is the core group. After that, beyond that, you need to take care of your customers, which in a way automatically happens. If you take care of your employees, you take care of your colleagues, they will take care of your customers. Beyond your customers, you expand your circle. You take care of your society, your community. And beyond your community, you need to contribute to the nation at large. So that is the circle of belief. अब CSR मा जाँदा, as I said, first CSR, कसै आफ्नो कर्मचारी कामदारमा कोभिडमा अप्ठ्यारो परेको छ, how can we help them? कसैको घर बगाएको छ अस्तिको बारीले. So that is my first front where I help to my dealers, to my partners, to my colleagues. So that is where you extend your first front, because everyone has limited resources. Beyond that, if you still have resources, then you look at your community. Maybe your history, your culture. We being Buddhists and Newars, we want to preserve our culture. We want to preserve the temples. You know, we want to promote Newari culture, whether it's through books, whether it's through art, whether it's through temples. Then beyond your community, you go into a larger society. How can you help the society? Pandemic, how can we work with the government, with the Nepal Medical Association, with the various organizations to help people who are affected by this pandemic, and overall nation at large. But in Jyoti Group, we focus, as we said, after, of course, we consider our employees, our colleagues, our partners as a part of our extended family. So beyond that, we invest in CSR. हाम्रो बजेट चाहिँ हाम्रो कल्चरमा हुन्छ, लिटरेचरमा हुन्छ, एडुकेसनमा हुन्छ र हेल्थमा चाहिँ विशेष फोकस गरिकन आफ्नो कर्मचारी कामदार सोसाइटीमा we try and contribute. So that is how our CSR works, and that is my belief as how CSR should contribute to the overall change, benefit, and impact in society and nation.
Rather impressive take to the question, Saurabh. Thank you. I think you gave a good understanding about how your group also operates when you're talking about taking care of your own employees first. And very rightfully said, because once you have a happy employee environment, you know, that immediately results in the, you know, happy customer service as well, happy and satisfied customers. And your answers beyond that. Thank you. Now we have come down to the last question for this talk show, which has got to do with your message, Mr. Saurabh, your message to the youths of our nation. Please feel free, take a little extra minute, you know, and would love to hear your viewpoints on that.
The youth are the VVIPs of the nation.
Wow.
No political leader, no business leader, no one is has more stake in the future of the nation than the young people of the nation. तर विडम्बना के हो भने the elder people are deciding the future, which they may or may not get to see. And the youth, whose future is going to be impacted most by the decisions of the older generation who are taking leadership, are keeping quiet. So why are the young people, युवाहरू किन चुप छन्? जब त्यो भविष्यको स्टेक सबैभन्दा बडो हामीलाई असर पर्छ. सो युवाहरू भने भविष्यको मात्रै नेतृत्व होइन, वर्तमान र भविष्यको नेतृत्व अहिले लिनुपर्छ. Youth are the leaders for today and tomorrow. And we need to be at the helm and take that leadership to shape the future, because that future is going to affect us the most. So it's time to take the leadership, time to move forward, time to walk the talk, and आफ्नो जुनसुकै क्षेत्रमा चाहिँ मेहनत लगनशीलता गरेर अगाडि बढाउनु पर्छ. र नेपालमा कुरा गर्दा कुन क्षेत्रमा सम्भावना छ भनेर सबैले सोध्छ मलाई. म भन्छु कुन क्षेत्रमा नेपालमा सम्भावना छैन तपाईले मलाई भन्नुस्. हरेक क्षेत्रमा there is an opportunity. Of course there are challenges, but challenges present opportunities. जहाँ जहाँ चुनौती छ त्यहाँ त तपाईले अवसर पाउनुहुन्छ. If everything was smooth sailing, if everything was running, you'd run out of opportunities. So grab the bull by the horns, identify the opportunities within the challenges, and shape the future forward. Right? So I think the only message to the youth is that there's tremendous opportunity. Take the leadership, take the initiative, and move forward. हरेकको एउटा सपना हुन्छ, तर त्यो सपना साकार गर्न तपाईले, your dream is there. But now to translate your dream into reality, make your dream into a plan. How are you going to implement that dream? That's your plan. तर प्लान भएर पुग्दैन. तपाईको प्लान के हो? 5 वर्ष, 10 वर्ष, 100 वर्षमा पुरा गर्ने? No. The plan has to have a timeline. मैले 5 वर्षभित्र यो गर्छु, 10 वर्षभित्र यो गर्छु. So dream to a plan. Plan, put it down into a timeline as to when you want to achieve it. And then once you have a plan with a timeline, एउटा timeline भइसकेपछि break it down into actionable steps. Get to work. So once you break that down into actionable steps, daily actions, then you will realize your dream. Nothing is impossible. You can dream it, you can do it. You are the future. And I see the future, seeing the young people being so active. I feel that our future is very bright.
Thank you for your answer to the last question. And yeah, that line that you said really stuck to me. Grab the bull by the horns. And like you also said, take the leadership, take the initiative. And one of the best things what he said was create a detailed plan and timeline. And I think that's so true, because a lot of times, people don't make plans, but when they make plans, detailed plan, that is also not enough, because there is no, objectified timeline associated with it. So when we have a timeline, the effectiveness of the plan is more concrete. So thank you so much for that question. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Saurabh. He's a man who loves to live his life to the fullest, with a lot of sincerity, integrity. He's a great source of inspiration for everybody, and I take a lot of inspiration from him personally. I would like to thank him on behalf of DB Education for being a guest for this show. Thank you, Mr. Saurabh, for your time. So that was the end of the talk show. I would like to finally end off by saying, everybody, to take care of yourselves in these tough times of COVID. Please take care of your parents. And I think, it's a weekend today, so I would like to wish everybody a happy weekend going forward. It's going to be a little boring because of the lockdown, I understand, but yes, let's try to maintain our positivity factors on all the time. And let's, I would like to end up this talk show with the hope that we get to resume our lives normally, though normally is not going to be the same. So before we end off, Saurabh, anything else, or, Hamile, wrap up Gordim, this way?
Thanks everyone for giving me the opportunity, and hope we could all learn something new and do something. Basically, I think we all talk. In Nepal ma कुरा गर्न त धेरै सजिलो छ, काम गर्न मात्रै गाह्रो हो. So कामलाई परिणित गरेर, कुरालाई परिणित गरेर काम गरौँ. I think it's always good to listen to people, interact with people like you who are all the doers of the nation. So as I said, let's get down to work. Let's take the nation forward. Thanks.
Very powerful. Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, before we even ended the show, thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.